Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ainul Hassan Sahab, the chief guest of this program is on his way, and because today it's rained heavily, so he got stuck somewhere, but I'm sure he'll join in next 10-15 minutes. But in the meantime, we thought let us start the program. Respected Ali Naqvi Sahab is actually the youngest son of Professor Sadiq Naqvi Sahab. Miss Saraswati Madam, she's a student of Professor Sadiq Naqvi Sahab. And there's another student sitting here amongst us who's also a student of Sadiq Naqvi Sahab. Registrar Sahab, Professor Deepak Kumar will join us shortly. They are having another program in this Department of History. So the research scholars and others will join us shortly. We had also invited, Mir Firasat Ali Sahab. So he actually donated a good number of books to our library. So he will also join us shortly. Distinguished guest, staff of the university, faculty members, guests who have come from outside, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you. Assalamu alaikum, namaskar. I extend a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the university and obviously on behalf of the library. And I feel so happy standing here in front of you because of the fact that, we have so many distinguished academicians sitting with us this morning. This lecture, as you all know, this is the first memorial lecture called Professor Sadiq Naqvi Memorial Lecture. And this lecture, as I said, will be delivered by Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Sahab, who was first registrar of this university, and also he was former Vice Chancellor of Osmania University. And the topic is an outline history of socio-cultural and mystic life in the Deccan. Now, just to give you a brief of Professor Sadiq Naqvi, you may be aware that he was professor in the history department of Osmania University. And he contributed immensely to the field of education and especially in the field of history. And the reason, why we are holding this lecture in his memory is there are many reasons. Of course, first and the most important reason is that he was an eminent historian who has contributed a lot. And, recently the family members of Professor Sadiq Naqvi established a gold medal for the top graduating students in 4 departments, and those departments are Department of History, Islamic Studies, Department of Urdu, and H.K. Sherwani Center for Deccan Studies. And this gold medal will be given to the topper on a rotation basis every year. Next thing, I'm very happy to, as a librarian, I'm very happy and I express my sincere gratitude to the family members of Professor Sadiq Naqvi, especially Riaz Naqvi Sahab, who could not come. He's based at the US, and Mr. Ali Naqvi, who is our guest today. They have actually, given us books worth rupees 1 lakh, and our collection got enriched by that. And the important thing is that not that, he gave whatever books he wanted, but he asked us to choose the books. We selected books and then he paid for that book. I also take the opportunity of informing all of you that Professor Deepak Kumar Sahab, who is with us in the history department, he also purchased books worth rupees 1 lakh and gave it to us. Next in the line is Mir Firasat Ali Sahab, who will join us shortly. So he donated his father's collection, having about 10 to 15,000 books. I'm not able to give you the exact number. The reason is that, we are still in the process of segregating those books as per department, their relevance, usefulness, etc. So once that is done, I will definitely inform you all about that. Now, as I said, the chief guest is still is yet to arrive, and Though I gave you a brief introduction of Sadiq Naqvi Sahab, but I think the best person to give his introduction is obviously his students. And that's, we thought that maybe, we can request Saraswati Madam, who is student of Professor Sadiq Naqvi, to, tell you about him. I'm told that she is the most favorite student of Sadiq Naqvi Sahab, and Sadiq Naqvi Sahab is the most favorite teacher of Saraswati Madam. So she actually retired from the Department of History in Osmania University from Kasturba Gandhi Degree and PG College for Women, Sikandrabad. And she spent more than 38 years in the department. Also, one interesting thing, in the context of librarianship is that her sister, she was the student of first batch of library sciences, Osmania University. And she was first librarian of this college where she was working. So I think we have really a very eminent person with us today, Saraswati Madam, who would give you a brief introduction of Sadiq Naqvi Sahab. So I request Saraswati Madam to kindly introduce Sadiq Naqvi Sahab to all of us. Thank you.
Adab, salam alaikum, and namaskar. A very good morning. I deem it a great privilege to be here among all the scholars and the very galaxy of eminent historians and all the dignitaries who have come. Especially, I'm very happy and overwhelmed to see Mr. Ali Naqvi, who's the son of Sadiq Ahmad Naqvi, my very revered teacher, mentor, guide, and philosopher. And we always remember him for not just one reason, but not as a teacher, but as a very best friend. And I think Dr. Jaikishan will also share this, that he was a global friend and a true teacher who inspired many students all over the globe. And our revered Vice Chancellor Saab was also sharing his association and his first meetings with Sadiq Naqvi Saab. I think that itself speaks volumes why we are all here, gathered here to share and to also remember and fond memories of the wonderful person we have going to pay the tributes to. And so with that, I just like to say, I deem it a great honor and privilege to introduce my revered teacher, late Sadiq Ahmed Naqvi Saab. In the galaxy of scholars, especially in medieval history, he stands tall. His towering personality was truly inspiring to his students who remember him to this day. His specialization being Qutb Shahi history is regarded as the hallmark of his success. Hailing from the city of pearls, he was a most precious pearl nurtured by his parents who shaped his life to be a teacher and who enriched the lives of hundreds of students all over the globe. He was an outstanding sportsperson, led many teams at AP national tournaments, and all credit goes to his parents who have really nurtured him to be a multifaceted personality. His parents instilled in him a sense of meeting all challenges, and he made them proud by being an accomplished teacher. And he started his career in Korukonda Sainik School and thereafter to the prestigious Hyderabad Public School. Today, Hyderabad Public School is celebrating the centenary celebrations, and they all remember him. My common friends always share this with me that without mentioning Naqvi Saab, we cannot talk about Hyderabad Public School. So that was his enduring personality, that was his enduring teacher that all of them remember. He was truly a multifaceted personality. He had the distinction of being invited to international forums, literary events, and to mention a few, he traveled to Iran, Tehran, and as a part of his academic pursuits, he visited New York, Florida, Chicago, and Pakistan. And I think he was one of the first historians to have visited Mohenjo-daro and Harappa in Pakistan. Coming to the most enlightening part of his career, his Urdu poetry is par excellence. In his writings, he transcends all barriers of castes, creeds, and religions and triumphs with the blending of all cultures into one supreme spirit of Suhaikul. This is universal brotherhood and universal tolerance. My gratitude to my beloved teacher, mentor, and most of all, a great human being who touched so many hearts and impacted all our lives. Till today, we fondly remember him. He was an excellent host. Wherever he took us, we used to have elaborate dinners and we used to enjoy the Hyderabadi, chowki dinners and chowki, the way he used to take us on tours. We had a historical tour to Aurangabad, and where he had met so many people, and he was always cheering up, and he was cheered everywhere he went. He was standing very, very singular, and he was the man who really showed his accomplished accomplishments as a teacher and also a great Urdu poet. Here I would like to quote from Prem Rawatji. Today, as perhaps never before, humanity is searching for peace and security. And in a world profoundly shaken by the turbulent results of inharmonious thoughts and behavior, it is at this time we all need to discover the limitless resources already present within us, our souls, and bring great harmony to ourselves and our homes, our communities, and our world. A quote from Rumi, the Sufi saint: let yourself be really drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. This is what reminds me of how we are lost in this quagmire of the worldliness, but there is something that is within us that pulls us and tells us and gives us a true direction. And I think we should follow our passion, and that is exactly what Sadiq Ahmed Naqvi Saab has done. And he was one of the luminaries of Osmania University who has left a mark, indelible mark, on our minds and our souls. That is what I always remember, and the way he had taken us to all the historical tours and gave us the significance of each and every monument, each and every calligraphy was excellent. He used to explain to us the each and every meaning of that wonderful art of calligraphy. If I stand here, I think I will go on and on. So I would like to just make it little very brief. इतिहास के पन्नों में सादिक अहमद नकवी साहब के नाम स्वर्ण अक्षरों में लिखा जाता है. May his legacy live long and reach out to all parts of the globe. Our humble salutations and homage to this Noor of Hyderabad. I would always like to call him the Noor of Hyderabad because he had also started a magazine called Noor, and that has touched each and every one, not just in India but abroad, and that is the very precious gift to all of us here. And I hope I've done justice to my teacher. And I now ask Mr. Ali Naqvi to take forward and express. Thank you so much, Akhtar Parvez Saab, for giving me this opportunity and for being so very hospitable and extending your warmth and your care and your love to come and share my views and my thoughts of my teacher. I hope I gave you the gist of what I really could remember, and also want to once again congratulate this beautiful MANUU University, which is going all the way to encourage and enrich the culture of Deccan history, and instituting the gold medal goes a long way to bring back the rich treasure trove of Hyderabad history. Thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. So I was right in saying that who else can better talk about his teacher than his or her student. And when she used the word precious pearl, I was really very happy to, see her emotions for Professor Sadiq Naqvi Sahab. So, when the chief guest doesn't come, then obviously there's a problem for the host. And the same problem is with us also. So I'm sure you all can understand. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to really throw a little, make changes in the schedule that we had made earlier. And in the process, when he was, since he did not come for obviously obvious reasons of traffic jam, I actually forgot the recitation of Holy Quran. So please excuse me for that. Now, since Professor Suleiman Siddiqui is still yet to arrive, I would request Mr. Ali Naqvi Sahab, who is our guest of honor. He is the youngest son of Professor Sadiq Naqvi, as I said. And though he is an accounting professional based at Chicago, USA, he inherited the art of shairi from his father. And what I'm told that he has a unique perspective about the poetry world. And I'm sure VC Saab would like to explore that in the near future. So with this, can I request Ali Naqvi Saab to please say a few words? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, namaste. As Mr. Pervez introduced myself, my name is Ali Naqvi, and on behalf of my family of Dr. Sadiq Naqvi, I wanted to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Enul Hasan Saab and his able team for organizing this memorable seminar. And as Mr. Dr. Suleiman Siddiqui is not here, but still I deliver my thankful to him to accept the presentation.
You came at the right time for that.
Yeah. Yes,
Wait, please wait.
Yes. I'm extremely thankful for Dr. Suleiman Siddiqui Saab to accept the presentation, and it's reminded me back in 2005 when he was a vice chancellor of Osmania University during the felicitation of my father by the Department of History. I wanted to thank Ms. Saraswati for the memorable introduction of my father, as we have found memories of many of his students, research scholars, and associates visiting our home on several occasions, as she mentioned in her speech too. We are in touch with many of them, and they are like family to us. Our father was blessed with some of the best-natured students and scholars. Dr. Parvez Akhtar and his team put together countless hours in arranging for the program and setting up the library section, and contribution to the success of this program self-evident. I'm really thankful to Mr. Parvez Akhtar and his team. And I'm also thankful to Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed Saab. It was nice to see some of my father's student associates attending today's event. I'm really thankful to them. Dr. Naqvi has extreme passion towards the city, the region, its history, heritage, and culture. Whenever he attends seminar and conference all over the world, he will highlight the rich history and culture to the whole world. Overseas research scholars who visited the city and did project under him still fondly he still fondly remember the interaction and learnings. These students often visit our humble home and became a part of our family. Dr. Naqvi was a multifaceted individual. He was a historian, a religious scholar, speaker, a religious and adabi poet, writer, sportsman, and more. His contribution led to a national and international stage participations in all respects and his engagements. I am thankful to Dr. Faruqi for suggesting the gold medal to rotate in 4 departments, not just in history. It will continue his representation in multiple domains for years to come. Our family is appreciative of the Vice Chancellor and staff of MANUU for installing the gold medal in Dr. Sadiq Naqvi's name. I'm really thankful to everyone here. I want to thank the estimated guests, family, and friends who has helped in supporting our family cause with constant communication with the university staff. Once again, I'm thankful to everyone here, and once again, I'm thankful for your precious time to came and attend this event. And I wish all the best to the student for their bright future. Thank you.
Thank you, Naqvi Saab, for establishing this award. We at MANUU are really thankful to you. And I'm sure, in the near future, the gold medals students will start getting these gold medals. We expected some shairi from you, but nevertheless, no problem. Maybe next time we can do that. So when Professor Deepak Kumar was not here, I was saying that, he has also donated a good number of books to us, and not just, from his collection, but he purchased books and donated to us worth rupees 1 lakh or so. My warm welcome to Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Sahab, who will, as I said, deliver the memorial lecture today. And introducing Professor Suleiman Siddiqui is very easy and very difficult also. Easy because, I can go on and on talking about him, like he was former Vice Chancellor of Osmania University. He was first registrar of our own university. He was on different boards, etc. His contribution, immense contribution to the field of education, etc. But at the same time, it is very difficult to introduce him because there's a possibility that in the process I may miss out on some of his very important contribution. And that is the reason why I decided I will not introduce him. You all know about him very well. And with this now, I will request Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Saab to please deliver the lecture. He is a teacher and administrator par excellence. Thanks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulihil Kareem. Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab, Registrar of this university, Mr. Ali Naqvi, Mr. Saraswati, dignitaries on the dais, scholars, staff of this Urdu University, research scholars, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, my apologies to all of you to have kept you waiting for this much of time. There was little I can do, just sit over the flyover and see when the signal will give us the green signal. That's why the delay of 20 minutes. And I was forced to sit for 1 hour 45 minutes in the car. My legs jammed. So it took me another 5 minutes to get down and come here. Few words about Professor Naqvi. Both of us are colleagues from Osmania University. He was in the Department of History and I was in the Department of Islamic Studies. And we worked together for almost 25 years. I had very close, intimate relationship with him. I remember he used to publish and edit the journal called Noor, and in which he has published one of my articles, which related to the role of Nematullah in the Deccan. The great descendant of Shah Burhanuddin Khalilullah, who was the son of Shah Nematullah Wali Kirmani from Kirman Mahan in Iran, who came and settled down at Bidar, and his shrine stands at Bidar at a place called Ashtur. It is well known as Khaliliyan. And it is rather the whole family of the Nematullah is starting from the times of Ahmad Shah Wali Bahmani down up to this time. They are all buried there. It's a great monument. It's a hexagonal monument which has been defined wonderfully by Professor Yazdani, Ghulam Yazdani, in his history, Bidari History and Monuments. One of the best books which was written during the period of the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad. And I remember he used to tell me that what will I do with this collection which I have at home? I'm not able to decide. I said, you need not worry. A time will come when you will take a decision, or your people from home will take a decision and will donate it to the right organization, right institution. And I think this is the best institution which has come. I'm grateful to you for having contributed this collection of Professor Naqvi to this institution. I have said that I will deliver this keynote address. I said outline history of the Muslim states of the Deccan, which later I realized I am talking of 700 years, maybe more than 700 years. That's why I just put the word outline. If the moment I say that I will go into the details, it may take 7-8 days for me to complete that particular thing. But I will definitely try to sum up some of the important features of the Bahmanis, the Qutub Shahis, the Adil Shahis, the Nizam Shahis, and particularly the Asif Jahi state. I would like to concentrate on the composite culture which developed in Deccan during this particular period of Muslim history in the Deccan. I will not use the word Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb. The moment I use the word Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, they will say, hold on, that belongs to North India. So I will only use the word composite culture in Deccan. History of the Muslims in Deccan, you are all aware of the fact that it's a history which commenced sometime around AD 1300. And 1300 to this time is about 700, 800 and more than 800 years. And during this particular period, there were at least 7 important dynasties which were established, Muslim dynasties which were established in the Deccan Plateau, on the Deccan Plateau. The first independent kingdom which was established was the Bahmani kingdom, which was established by Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah. The Bahmani kingdom came to be known as Bahmani kingdom because Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah was the direct descendant of Bahman Isfandiar of Iran, Persia. That's why it is Bahmani. There are legendary accounts available in the different books, and they say it is known as Bahmani because Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah was closely associated to a Brahman in the Deccan, which is only a legendary account. The true account is that the Bahmanis are known Bahmanis because Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah is the direct descendant of the Bahman Isfandiar of Persia, who was one of the greatest persons of that particular era. You should also remember that Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia, a great saint of Delhi, from somewhere around 1200, between 1200 and 1300, this particular period, he started deputing his disciples and khulafa to Deccan, this particular region. That is the first entry of the Muslims. Earlier than that, there are evidences available, but all these evidences are from the secondary sources. There is no contemporary source available to us to say that Pir Mabari Khandayat, Yusuf Sarmas, and different other Sufi saints in Bijapur, Khuldabad, Daulatabad, and Pahadi Sharif in Hyderabad, Shahabudin Sorwardi's descendant. All that is only legendary. There is no contemporary evidence available. The first contemporary evidence of the arrival of Muslims from North India into Deccan is in Sierra Leone, Mir Khurd. And then it is also available to you in Fawaidul Fuad, which was written by Amir Hassan al-Asiji, which are the oral sayings, malfuzat of Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia, which is very authentic. These are the two very important, authentic, contemporary sources of that particular period. And that's why we can say that, okay, all this is true. And therefore, we say the first entry of the Muslims into Deccan was the deputation of the Khulafa and the disciples of Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia, who came and settled down at Khuldabad, which came to be known as Khulde-Bari later on. And that's why Professor Carl W. Ernst has said in his book Eternal Garden of Khulde-Bari, because all the great Sufis who came and migrated, who are responsible for the basic social, ethnic, moral fiber of the Muslim urban society, first Muslim urban society at Daulatabad, were those Sufis who had migrated in the due course of time into Deccan and Khuldabad. That's why he says that graveyard where all these great saints are buried is known as Khulde-Bari. Also, I should tell you that the difference between North India, South India, and the Deccan is the Muslims arrived in North India as conquerors. The Muslims came in the South India and the Deccan as traders. They came as missionaries. So therefore, there is a huge difference between the social fabric, cultural fabric, and the religious fabric of the people living in this region, starting from the mountains of Vindhyachal down up to south, and people living above and over the Vindhyachals. There is a difference you can see in education, in culture, in behavior, in different aspects of life. You can see the very clear difference between the two. This is a peaceful existence. That is an existence because of conquest and then making the huge Hindu population the subjects. Here, no such thing has happened. That's why you can see, particularly, I'll give you only one example. But the one example is of education. The way education has flourished in this particular region of Deccan and in South India has not flourished in North India. It is During the last 10 years, the medical college, private medical colleges, engineering colleges have been established. Therefore, there is a huge difference between the two regions called as North India, Deccan and South India. Also, you should remember, the first Muslim attack on Deccan was by Alauddin Khilji, who was the nephew of Jalaluddin Khilji. It was he who came and attacked Devgir and went back. He looted the wealth, distributed it in the streets of Delhi, murdered his murdered his uncle, and came to the throne. That is the beginning of the Muslim entry as conquerors in Deccan. Then the attacks were followed by Malik Kafur, who came, attacked Devgir. Second time he came, attacked Warangal. Third time he came, attacked the Hosalas and the Pandyas, went up to Raichur and Kannur. There is a monogram still, there's a chronogram still in one of the mosques, if you can go and see in Kurnool, which was put there in that particular mosque by Malik Kafur. It is still there. It is to be seen, to be believed at that particular point of time. Also remember that the change came after the change of capital in 1327, corresponding to 727, when Muhammad bin Tughlaq shifted his capital from Delhi to Devgir. Devgir became Khubbatul Islam initially and then became Daulatabad. It is with this, the caravans started flowing from North India to Delhi and from Delhi to Daulatabad and from Daulatabad to Delhi back. It used to take more than 6 months for a caravan to travel from Delhi up to Daulatabad and then back that way. I have seen one book called as Khiwamul Aqaid, the only copy of which is available in Usmania University Library. It's a manuscript which was written before Fawaidul Fuad and Sirul Awliya. And that particular book, which is just about 70 pages, is written by Khiwamuddin, Jamal Khiwamuddin, called Khiwamul Aqaid. It is a manuscript which was written somewhere in the 12th century, at the end of the 12th century. And that manuscript mentions about the caravans which were traveling between here and there. I remember of one caravan in 722 which traveled from North India to Daulatabad, in which a large number of people came. The first entry of the Sufis was 700 palanquins, in which a large number of Sufis, dignitaries, rich people, and the Khulafa and disciples of Sheikh Nizamuddin Awliya and Burhanuddin Gharib came and settled at Khuldabad. The second again, another caravan with 700 palanquins again. There were a large number of Sufis again. They came and settled down in Khuldabad and Daulatabad. I'm talking about 729 to 730. In 3 years, there must have been 3 or 4 caravans which brought about a large number of Muslims, administrators, nobles, military men, Sufis, ulama, khazis, muhtasibs, all came and settled down. And these Sufis who came played an important role in the fundamental ethnic moral structure of the Muslim society at Khuldabad, Daulatabad. They are the people. And I should tell you that three Sufis of 3 orders came and settled down. The first and the most important was the Chishti order, the second was the Junaidi order, and the third was the Khadri order. Though scholars have said that the Khadri order in India was established by Bandagi Muhammad Ghaus somewhere around 15th century, which is not correct, because there were a large number of Khadri Sufis already in Khuldabad, in Bidar, in Gulbarga, and in Bijapur before Bandagi Muhammad Ghaus. You should remember that when Muhammad bin Tughlaq shifted his capital, Daulatabad became the first Muslim urban center on the Deccan Plateau. That we should remember, it is an important thing. And from there, the population started expanding into Gulbarga, Bijapur, Bidar, Golconda, and further south. That is the way the Muslim population from north into Deccan flowed. Whereas Muslims were already there as traders and people in commerce on the western coast of India as well as on the southern coast of India in Sri Lanka, because the Arab trade route used to come to Gujarat from Sindh, from Oman. They used to take their ships. They used to come to Sindh, Karachi, and then they used to come to Gujarat. they used to go to Bhatkal and further down into Kerala, and through the Cape of Cameroon, they used to touch Sri Lanka, which was known as Sarandeep at that particular point of time. They used to travel to eastern coast, and from there to Calcutta and Burma and China. That was the trade route, which was already an established trade route at that particular point of time, which was dismantled by the Portuguese. When Vasco da Gama found a new route via the Cape of Good Hope and landed in Kerala in 1498, if I remember. Because this date is very clear to me, because Professor Rashiduddin Khan in my interview had asked me a date, and when I replied, he said absolutely wrong. And he said, young persons, he used to stammer, young persons like you should know it is 1498. I said, yes, sir. Though I was promoted. So I was telling you that the Muslim population which came up at Khuldabad, Daulatabad, comprised of Arabs, Persians, Turks, Afghans. But the majority population, particularly in the rural areas, was those of the Hindus, which had number of castes and so on and so forth. When Muhammad bin Tughlaq shifted his capital, he appointed the Amiran-e-Sadha. They are known as officers on 100 soldiers. Amiran-e-Sadha, Sada is 100, and Amir is leader on the 100 army officials. The same army officials revolted against Muhammad bin Tughlaq when he used to be in Delhi. When he used to be in Delhi, Deccan used to revolt, and when he used to be in Deccan, Delhi used to revolt. So he was in a mess. From 727 to 1337, 10 years, he said those who are interested in going back to Delhi, they can go back. And the disciple and Khalifa of Sheikh Burhanuddin Gharib, who was at Khuldabad, who was migrated in 727, became so happy that he immediately packed the bags and baggages of Sheikh Burhanuddin Gharib, and he said, sir, ready to leave. So the Sheikh said, look at this place, that is my burial. That is my grave. So Kaka Shad Bakhsh, the disciple who has packed the bags and baggages, was so jolted that he started weeping that my master is not going back to Delhi, because they were all in great love with Delhi at that particular point of time. Also, you should remember, at Daulatabad, a large number of Sufis had settled. I have already told you, Chishtis, Junaidis and Khadris. Nobody has spoken about the Junaidis till date, but recently I have discovered a genealogy which is about 30 feet in length, which contains extracts of a book written by Ainuddin Ganjul Ilm. It is called Atwarul Abrar, which is extinct, which is not available. Extracts of that book are available in this particular Shajara. So I have translated it and published it in 2014 from Primus. You should remember that the Dr. Mir Waliuddin writes in one of his books that the Sufis of the Deccan were those who have converted the Ilme Sina, heart knowledge, into book knowledge. Ilme Sina into Ilme Safina, heart knowledge into book knowledge. And the first important evidence of that are the Malfuzats which were written by Sheikh Burhanuddin Gharib at Daulatabad and his disciple Sheikh Zainuddin Shirazi. If I can tell you a few names, one is the most important, which was compiled by Sheikh Ruknuddin, his disciple. It is called Shamailul Athqiya. The other one is Baqiyatul Gharaib. The third one is Nafaisul Anfas. There are at least 9 to 10 Malfuzat which are available from the pen of Burhanuddin Gharib as well as from the pen of Sheikh Zainuddin Shirazi, which have been studied only by Carl W. Ernst in his book Eternal Garden. And I should tell you that this American slept in that dargah on the Patthar for 3 full years to translate this. And it is one of the best books I have read. Carl W. Ernst's book called Eternal Garden. You should remember the important Chishti Sufis who came to Khuldabad were Sheikh Muntajibuddin Zarbakhsh, Burhanuddin Gharib, Sheikh Zainuddin Shirazi, Amir Hassan Ala Sidri, who was the author of the Malfuzat of Sheikh Nizamuddin Awliya called Fawaidul Fuad, on the lines of which all the Malfuzat of the Deccan were written. Also remember that The important Junaidi saints who came and settled in Huldabad, Daulatabad are Ruknuddin Javeri, Minhajuddin Tamimi Ansari, Ainuddin Ganjulil, Shamsuddin Damagani. It is referred to as Damagani or Lamagani. It is in Iran. It is a city. Also, you should remember Qadris, those who settled in Deccan among the Qadri saints are Ruknuddin Tola, Khalifatul Rahman, and many others. I cannot give you the list of the names which I have. After 10 years, those who were desirous, they went back. Those who were not desirous remained here. The Amiran-e-Sadha revolted against the authority of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and established the first Bahmani kingdom, called as the Bahmanis of Deccan. The Bahmani history can be broadly classified into Gulbarga phase as well as Bidar phase. The Gulbarga phase has eight rulers, and if I remember correctly, 11 rulers from the Bidar phase. The important rulers of the Gulbarga phase are Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah, who is the founder of the Bahmani dynasty. Then we have Muhammad Shah I, Muhammad Shah II. Then we have Feroz Shah, who is a contemporary of Sayyid Muhammad Hussaini Gesudaraz Bandanawaz of Gulbarga, who has invited him to settle down in his capital, Gulbarga. Also, you should remember that apart from these rulers of Gulbarga, there were four important rulers during the Bahmani phase, that is at Bidar. That is Ahmad Shah Wali Bahmani. Second was his son Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah. The third one was Muhammad Shah, and the fourth one was Mahmud Shah. And the four important prime ministers of this kingdom, the most important were Malik Saifuddin Ghauri, who was the prime minister during the times of the founder of the Bahmani dynasty, and his successor. And it was he who had written a book called as Tuhfatun Nasai, which was written on the lines of the medieval political classics of medieval period. This is a small brochure which contains Nasai in the sense Nasihat. That's the plural word, Nasai. He has given suggestions to the ruler. That book was presented to the king, and he said, you should have the best of the best administrators, the nobles, the so. So there is a big list, and he says what a ruler is supposed to do. That's why it is one of the best traditions which he had set up at that particular time. He was the first prime minister. The second important prime minister of the kingdom was Mir Fazlullah Inju, who was most probably a Shia man, because Harun Khan Sherwani also says most probably. He was an important man during the times of Feroz Shah Bahmani. And the third important prime minister, the greatest prime minister of the Bahmani kingdom, was Mahmud Gawan, who was the prime minister of the Bahmani kingdom during the Bidar phase. He was the author of a large number of books. The two important books are Riyazul Insha and Manazirul Insha. Riyazul Insha is the collection of his 50 letters, which he had written to various people throughout the nook and corner of the world, inviting them to be there and to settle down here. Also, you should remember that the Bidar phase is the Bidar phase is from 1347 to 1422, and from 1422 to 1538 is the Bidar phase. The coronation of Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah was performed by a Junaidi Sufi, Sheikh Ruknuddin Junaidi. Feroz Shah invited Sayyid Muhammad Hussaini Gesudaraz to his capital. You should also remember that Gesudaraz was the disciple and Khalifa of Sheikh Nasiruddin Chiragh Dehlavi, and he was the author of 105 books, of which the most important in the field of Sufism are Asmarul Asrar, which is the pure mystic aspect of Bandanawaz's original work. The second important thing is Anisul Shah. Third important work is Yazda Rasail, which contains 10 booklets. In fact, it is 9 which are from the pen of Gesudaraz. The 10th one is from some other author. These are some of the sayings. These are some of the important writings of Gesudaraz which we have. Also, you should remember that Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah was the first Muslim ruler in India who banned the collection of jizya, poll tax, which is an Islamic tax. That's why the roots of composite culture are from the Bahmani times only. It is also there in South, where Muslims were there on the eastern coast and western coast. But the most important aspect is politically, Alauddin Hasan Bahman Shah, the first ruler of the Bahmani kingdom, was the one who said no more collection of jizya or poll tax, which is called an Islamic tax. Also, you should remember, he was the first ruler, Bahmani ruler, he was the first Muslim ruler who did not collect any chungi, a tax which is laid on the tarkaris, fruits, various grains, which cross from one village to the other village borders. He banned that. He did not collect even 1 rupee from anybody, which brought him close to the large Hindu population, which was in the field of agriculture at that particular point of time, which is still so. Also, you should remember, Feroz Shah himself was a great scholar, a linguist. He was an important person who appointed large number of Hindus to the various administrative and revenue posts. During his time, the entire revenue was collected by the Brahmins. The entire collection of the revenue of the Bahmani dynasty was in the hands of the Brahmins at that particular time. Also, Feroz Shah gave a jagir of 80 jagirs of a jagir of Madhol and 80 villages to one Hindu noble of his called as Bhairav Singh. You should also remember that the longest era of peace between the Muslims and the Vijayanagar kingdom, another big kingdom, another very popular kingdom at that particular time, was the Vijayanagar kingdom in the south. The biggest era of peace between the Vijayanagar kingdom and the Bahmani kingdom, because they were all the time at loggerheads with each other, was the period of Feroz Shah Bahmani for a period of 10 years. And you should remember, during this particular 10 years, Feroz Shah went and lived in the palace of Vijayanagar, Krishna Deva Roy, if I remember correctly, Krishna Deva Roy the first. And it was he who married the Hindu princess of the Vijayanagar Empire, brought her and gave her the title, if I remember, Parichehra. And she lived in Gulbarga Palace at that particular point of time. So these are some of the shining examples of the composite culture which we have in Deccan. Also, you should remember, Vijayanagar rulers used to put on kula, not the cap. They used to put on the kula. They used to put on the long robe, which हमारे पास जो बादशाह साहब सलामत पहनते थे, बड़ा झुब्बा वो पहनते थे. They used to enroll. They have enrolled a large number of Muslims into their army. I think this is because of the fact that somebody came and told them that you simply will not be able to defeat the Bahmanis until you have the Muslim forces with you. Most probably it was because of that. A large number of Hindus were recruited by Krishna Deva Roy I as well as by Krishna Deva Roy II. And you should remember that where the rulers used to sit, they used to put the copy of the Quran, and the nobles, Muslim nobles who used to come, used to say Salama. Instead of Salam, they used to say Salama. That's what Harun Khan Sherwani writes in his book Bahmanis of the Deccan, and as well as the Medieval History of the Deccan, Volume 1 and 2, which was edited by Sherwani and Professor P.M. Joshi. There are a large number of things which I can go on talking to you, but I will skip few because it is time consuming. As the Bahmanis have laid the foundations, the roots of the composite culture in the Deccan soil, this tradition was continued by the Adil Shahis, the Qutub Shahis, as well as by the Asif Shahis, because these are the successive states of the Bahmani kingdom. Fusion of culture continued even after the establishment of the Adil Shahi and the Qutub Shahi kingdoms. Ibrahim Qutub Shah, the fourth ruler of the Golconda, that is Hyderabad, had spent 7 years in exile in the Vijayanagar Empire. And it was he who had learned Telugu fluently. He used to speak the Telugu language and he used to write Telugu language. And he was the first Muslim ruler to have patronized the Hindu poets, Hindu scholars, Hindu pandits, if I use the word Hindu ulama, at that particular point, they were all sitting in his darbar. he has given great patronization to all of them. He spoke Telugu fluently. He was the first Muslim ruler of the Deccan to extend full patronage to Telugu language. His court was full of Telugu scholars. Addangi Gangadhar Kavi was appointed as his poet laureate. Telangana, Pandaganti Telangana Kavi was in his court. Gangadhar Kavi was in his court. Gangadhar Kavi wrote the writes that the court of Ibrahim Qutub Shah was full of learned men of the Vedas, Shastras, Purnas, and cognate sciences. It was Telugu poet who the Telugu poet of Golconda considered this place as their home, and they lived comfortably. They used to refer to Ibrahim Qutub Shah, the fourth ruler of the Qutub Shahis, as Malik Abraham, and because there is a verse in the Quran about Ibrahim alayhi salam, and therefore they have used that particular word called as Malik Abraham. Qutub Shahi rulers issued bilingual farmans. They were there in Persian on the top, and they were there in the Modi language on the down. You can see these bilingual farmans which are available to you in the state archives at Tarnaka, and the bilingual farman is very much there in the Museum of the Archives. Also, you should remember, a number of Hindus were appointed to important positions and important posts. Quli Qutub Shah, a peace-loving monarch, appointed Raya Rao, Aswa Rao. He appointed Pettamatti Somayaji Kavi as his poet laureate. Ganesh Panditulu was appointed as his Samasthana Panditulu. Kami Reddy, Malla Reddy, Jamma Mantri were appointed to important administrative positions. Also during the later period, during the period of Abdullah Qutub Shah, there were the prime minister of the kingdom was Akkanna and Madanna were the prime minister, the two brothers. They were holding important positions at that particular point of time. Also likewise, during the Adil Shahi period, the Adil Shahi rulers were great patrons of learning. They were great patrons of art and architecture. If you want to believe the architecture which is there from the Adil Shahi times, one need to visit the town of Bijapur, and you can see one of the glorious buildings. The largest dome, called as Gol Gumbad, is in Bijapur. There was an objective type of question in the entrance of Islamic studies, which is the largest Gol Gumbad. There are 4 Gumbas were given. So the person comes, I was invigilating, the person comes and tells me, what is this Gol Gumbad? Every Gumbad is Gol. Why should I write Gol Gumbad? So you should remember that the biggest tomb is there at Bijapur. You should go and see that particular monument, all the monuments, in fact, at that place. The Ismail Adil Shah extended great patronage to fine arts in his kingdom. He himself was a great artist. He was conversant with drawing, painting, jewel setting, and he was the one who used to patronize all these arts at his court. He also issued bilingual farmans. These bilingual farmans, on the top was the Persian, and on the bottom was the Marathi language, not the Modi language, because that particular region belongs to the Maratha people at that particular point. He gave grants to scholars, places of worship, without the distinction of caste, creed, and religion. The welfare of the people was at his heart. And therefore, you should remember, when the city of Bijapur started expanding, he was the first Muslim ruler who constructed the pipeline water supply, drinking water supply to the entire town of Bijapur, called as the Taura Water Works. Similarly, Nizam was the first to have laid the drainage lines in the Hyderabad, which are still working better than the present ones. He was a great lover of books and had a wonderful library, Ismail Adil Shah. And to this library, he has appointed a Vaman Pandit, a person named Vaman Pandit, who was the greatest scholar of Sanskrit at that particular point of time. That shows the open-mindedness of the rulers of that era. Ibrahim Adil Shah II called himself Abala Bali, protector of the weak. this application was printed on his coins, used by the rich as well as by the poor. People in turn called him Jagat Guru, or protector of the weak, or the protector of the world, And because of his fairness in justice, love for all the people, particularly for the poor people, without the distinction of caste, creed, and religion. This particular title was printed on his largest coin, called as Hun and Norus. It was very much there because it was in circulation. Hun and Norus used to contain this particular title. He had adorned his capital with a magnificent building and royal mansions at Nauraspur, extended great patronage to the people who belong to the field of art and artists. Some of the farmans to the Hindu Jagirdars began with the name of Saraswati. All those farmans which were sent to the Hindu officials, they used to start with the word Saraswati. And you should remember, all the personal law matters of the majority Hindu community was not referred to the Khazis or to the ulamas, but it was sent to Python, which was the greatest center of the Sanskrit learning at that particular time. He himself was a great musician, and he was one of the foremost musicians of his time, and composed books and songs entitled Kitab-e-Norus, which is still famous, the manuscripts of which are available to you in Salarjung Library and Oriental Manuscript Library. You should remember that he was a great admirer of the deity called Saraswati because of the music at that particular point in time. The Nambalkars of Python, the Godpars of Madhol distinguished themselves in the services of the Adil Shahi rulers. The revenue accounts and the department was in the hands of the Hindus and the Marathas at that particular time. Collection of taxes, as I said, during the Bahmani period, the Bahmani and Qutub Shahi period, continued in the hands of the Marathas during the Adil Shahi period as well. You should remember that Ibrahim Jagat Guru was a devotee of goddesses Saraswati. Pandharpur, the center, Pandharpur, am I right? Pandharpur was the center of the Bhakti cult, which was in the Adil Shahi kingdom. It was not only patronized, but it was given great grants at that particular point of time. The Hindu priestly class were permitted to practice their profession without any fear. They used to operate fully. There were annual fairs and jatras which were patronized, and they were given grants at that particular point of time. Many may not know that the tradition of the grants which was given to the temples and to the dargahs, the khankhas, and the ashur khanas and other souls continued during the Asujai period as well. I will not go into the detail because it is very time consuming, and I have collected about 200 farmans from the checkered books of archives, which is originally signed by the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad and the 6th Nizam, which relate to only the temple grants which have been given by these two Nizams to the pujaris, to the pandits, and the people who matter in the Hindu religion. They have been very open and clear. What I will do is I will only tell you about what type of grants were given by the 6th and the 7th Nizam particularly, because the earlier, the Asujai state is of seven rulers, if I remember correctly. Is it 7 or 9? 7. Yes. 7 rulers. The founder was Nizamul Mulk, known as Chin Quli Khan. His entire time was gone in consolidating the empire. The next 4 were his successors, but disputes and quarrels between the family for succession and so on and so forth, nothing happened. Little happened. I will not say nothing happened. But the fact is what all happened has happened during the period of the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Mahbub Ali Khan, and the 6th Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Mahbub Ali Khan, and the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Usman Ali Khan. And the man who was really instrumental in this was their prime minister, called as Sir Salarjung I. It was he who brought about a transition from the medieval to the modern. Though the transition took place 200 years back from the medieval to the modern, but from modern to the postmodern, we have not been able to go. Still, we are all hanging around in the modern era only. We need to, particularly the Educational Institute needs to go from the modern to the postmodern, and huge changes are coming. Technology has come. The computer science field is so open, and it is bringing about such innovations that half of us are not aware. I will say I am not aware of half of them, more than half of them. And I'm sure many who are sitting here may not be knowing, they may be knowing the computers and so on and so forth, but they may not be knowing what technology can do, how technology can bring about transition. So that's why I said the period of 6th Nizam, 7th Nizam and Salar Jang is a period of transition. But no transition is taking place. It is time for all the teachers, the research scholars, the students to think new. Research means something new. Research does not mean that you take Harun Khan Sherwani's 5 pages, you take PM Joshi's 10 pages, you take Sulaiman Siddiqi's 2 pages, put them in the card and submit it as a PhD thesis. No, that's not research. That is cut and paste. As simple as that. Though many of you may say, what bakwas kar raha hai aapni? But the fact is this, in Usmania University, if you notify 50 posts of lecturer, half of the library is empty. Why? Because all the books are in the hostels. All professors are sitting. They are taking 50,000 rupees and preparing a document called as PhD thesis. The man who is submitting this thesis knows nothing. A person came during my tenure as a vice chancellor for merit promotion scheme, and he gave me his book, and he said, "Sir, this is my PhD thesis which has been recently published." When I looked into it, it is all about Deccan. I said, "Wow, great opportunity for me to ask him." So I said, "Hold on," to the expert, and I asked him, "Tell me when Charminar was constructed, in which year?" He was looking at me. I said, "Why Hussain Sagar is known as Hussain Sagar?" He was looking at me. I said, "Why Khairtabad is known as Khairtabad?" He was looking at me. I asked him 10 questions and not a single thing which he could describe, because all of them are there in his book. It is shocking. I said, "Thank you very much. You can leave." What else I can say? But the fact is, research means you need to orient. You need to transit. You need to bring about something new. कुछ नई बात बोलिए. हारून खान शेरवानी जो बोल के चले गए, पीएम जोशी जो बोल के चले गए, अंगार साहब जो बोले, ताराचंद जो बोले, वो थीसिस में लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो कोट कर सकते हैं आप जरूरत पड़ी. So what I am trying is, if the transition can happen in the later 19th century and early 20th century, why it cannot happen now? And I am sure Urdu University under your stewardship will bring about this transition as soon as possible. I hope all of you teachers who are sitting here will be able to make a great contribution. I will sum up the cosmopolitan culture in 4 sentences of the Asif Jahi period. The first and the most important thing is, the first thing I must tell you is that the 6th Nizam and the 7th Nizam gave grants to Jatras, Ojhas, Agnihotris, Naveed, and several other festivals which are known in the Deccan for the Hindus. Also, you should remember that apart from this, the second important grant which was given, the second being the reception which was accorded to the Hindu Pandits and the Hindu scholars who came to Hyderabad at that particular point of time. There are 2 names which I am drawing from the Farman of the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad. One was Danamal, and the other was Swami Panikar. These were the 2 great Hindu scholars who had come to Hyderabad. They were given a reception, high reception. They were given the entire fare. All the people who had accompanied them, their fare was taken care of. They were made to reside in a comfortable place. I don't know where it was arranged, but it was a big place. Well, while they were going back, they were given the travel grant for return journey, and they were looked after for 10 days when they stayed and gave lectures to the Hindu community at this particular point of time. Second important thing is that. The third important thing which you should remember is, grants which were given to the Hindu institutions, both religious and secular. And particularly when I am saying this, you should remember grants were given to Banaras Hindu University, 10 lakhs. Then where is this? They were given to, it is again to Shanti Niketan, 1 lakh rupees were given, right? Banaras Hindu University was given, Telugu Academy was given, and then also you should remember that there are other institutions like Aligarh Muslim University, there are other institutions, if I remember, Andhra University, there are a few other secular as well as religious institutions, all of them were given big grants by the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad at that particular point of time. There is one research institute at Bangalore, it is referred to as Bhandarkar Research Institute, Pune. There is another research institute in Bangalore which was given rupees 10 lakhs for research work. He was generous at that particular point of time. The third important I said is the grants which were given by the 7th Nizam to the religious and the secular institution. Fourth category of grants was given for the publication of Mahabharata, one of the important books of the Hindus, religious books of Hindus. It is sort of a religious manual for all the Hindu community. Grant was given for the publication of this particular book. The fifth category relates to the excavation of Hindu archaeological monuments and publication of Sanskrit and Kannadi Telugu inscriptions. You should remember this was the 7th Nizam who had restored to glory the 1,000-pillar temple at Warangal, from where I come. The second important thing which he did was, it was he who restored the Ajanta Ellora caves. And you should remember that to restore the glory of Ajanta and Ellora, the Buddhist monuments, the Buddhist carvings, Italian, French, and British experts were invited at the cost of the Nizam. They were given big, huge grants. They did the entire restoration work. Also, I remember from the same Farman of the 7th Nizam that 4,000 British pounds were granted for the publication of this Ajanta Ellora colored album. It is available to all of you. If you want to see, you can visit the archaeology department opposite Nizam College. Also, you should remember, it was Bidarit History and Monuments, where Ghulam Yazdani, the grandfather of my friend Asad Yazdani, who was a colleague of mine in the Department of Public Administration, it was he who was asked to, he was the director of the archaeology department. He was asked to survey the entire Bidar town and bring to note the medieval monuments which existed in the town of Bidar at that particular time. That's why the book is entitled as Bidar History and Monuments, voluminous book, which I have purchased 40 years back in 500 rupees. It is not available even 5,000 rupees now. One of the best works which was done at that particular point of time. It was he who used to travel in a bullock cart. It was he who used to go by the elephant. It was he who used to ride the horses in the town of Bidar at that particular point of time. It's a great history. It's a great work, you should remember. Also remember that 15,357 Hali were granted for the Purnamal Sahu to meet the expenses of the temple called as Dudraraj Swami's temple. Also, you should remember some prominent temples which were given an annual grant were Gaulipura temple, Omkar temple, Balaji temple, Shankarbagh temple, Golnath temple. Apart from these grants which were given annually, you should also remember that for Balaji temple at Bhadrachalam, he gave a big grant. The Balaji temple at Tirupati received 10,070 rupees per annum. It was a fixed grant at that particular time. Bhadrachalam temple received 19,463. It is written in the Farman. I am not speaking on my own. For the famous Sitaram Bagh temple, the Nizam granted a village called as Balgawan and Akali, both in Berar, which was annexed, I think, by the British at that particular time. You should remember the income of these two villages alone was 60,000 rupees Hali at that particular time for for this particular temple, which is great to listen to, right? Then I should also tell you that a large number of inscriptions from the wells, from the temples, from the khanqahs, from the mosques, and from the shrines of the Sufi saints, all of them were collected and printed. All of them are available to you in the Department of Archaeology. You can go and visit that. So the tradition of this continues from that particular time. I need not go into the further details because I have already consumed a lot of time. But I should tell you about capping this culture, that is composite culture. The Sufis of the Deccan played a very important role. They work for love, peace, harmony, equality, and justice for all human beings without the distinction of caste and creed. Jawaimul Kilam, the Malfuzat of Sayyid Muhammad Hussaini Gesurat Banda Nawaz, compiled by his son Akbar Hussaini, they say that Banda Nawaz used to meet for hours together. The Hindu yogis and yogis used to discuss various issues because he was also, I believe, was fluent with Sanskrit language at that particular time. That is one important, one shining example of a coexistence between the two communities of that particular time. All the Sufis, apart from Banda Nawaz, they work for peace, equality, brotherhood, and justice. Also you should remember, one story I will tell you about one Sufi. He was at loggerheads with his contemporary ruler Muhammad Shah the First, if I remember correctly. He had not gone to the coronation ceremony of Muhammad Shah and did not bless him. The Sultan was very angry. It is reported that the governor of Dawlatabad, Bahram Khan, revolted against him. So the ruler came to Dawlatabad to annex, to suppress that revolt of Bahram Khan. Bahram Khan ran to the dwelling of Zainuddin Shirazi, who blessed him, and he said, "You should run away into Gujarat." And they ran away. Though the ruler chased them, but did not find them. The ruler became very angry, and he said to this, he sent his Harkara, a person, and said, "You should come in person or send it in writing that you recognize Muhammad Shah as your ruler." He said, "Sorry, I will not do that. Neither I will come, nor will I send a letter." And he said, the ruler again sent the second person, and he said, "If you do not do that, you will be beheaded." He said, "I don't fear." He took the praying carpet from there and went to the shrine across the road to his Peer, Sheikh Burhanuddin Gharib Dargah, and sat there and said, "Who is the man who can lift me from here?" And he narrated a story. The story was an alim, a sayyid, and a eunuch. Three of them were caught. They were taken to a temple and they were asked to bow down before the deity. The sayyid did. The alim did. The eunuch said, "Thank you very much. I will not do this. I have been doing all sins throughout my life. I'll be the last person to do this." He was beheaded. And he said, "I am like that. If you want to behave, you can behave. There is no problem." The Sultan was shocked. And he came back and he said, "My apologies to you. And I respect you. You respect me." He said, "If you respect the society, if you stop drinking in the public, if you close all the brothel houses, if you close all the wine shops, then I am with you." It is reported that 7,000 dacoits' heads were chopped off, and the city, the entire Bahmani kingdom was cleared of the dacoits. It was a huge problem at that particular point. I went through that shajara in which two of the Sufi saints were beheaded by the dacoits. They are all Junaidi saints. Also, you should remember, Sayyid Muhammad Hussaini Gesura's work for the welfare of the people, interacted with the Hindu yogis, as I already said. The teachings revolved around love, piety, welfare of the humanity. The Chistis believed in the following. The Chistis, I am saying, not Bandanas. If someone visits a living man and gets nothing to eat, it is as if he has visited a dead person. वो इस्लाम की बात है, वो कुरान शरीफ की बात, वो हदीस की बात है. That's what one of the quotations, important things which you should know. Don't attach your, another Sufi said, don't attach your heart to anything worldly. Act upon the tradition of the Prophet. Live in this world like a traveler and count yourself among the dead. These are important sayings, which we have all forgotten. These are from the sayings of the great Sufis of North India. A famous Chisti saint said, do not pay any attention to the princess and to the rulers. The moment you attach yourself to them, your spirituality is gone. You are finished. Because they are a, क्या बोलना चाहिए वो, there is a पर्दा हायल हो जाता है बीच में आपके और अल्लाह ताला. A screen, a sort of a sheet is there between you and the reality. Therefore, do not pay any attention to the rulers and to the princess. A king gave a village. A king gives a village and holds an obligation. Our providence gives us our daily bread without placing any such obligation, said the Sufi. When Ulugh Khan gave the grant of a big Jagir, the saint said, I think Fariduddin Ganj Shakar said, there are many who desire this, give it to them. Jalaluddin Khilji wanted to meet Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia. The disciples of the Sheikh said, he has started from his palace. He has reached that place. He is behind your khanqa. He said, if he enters from this door, I will leave from that door. That was the attitude. That was the spirituality. That was the thing. Baba Fariduddin Ganshakar, I am told, written by Professor Nizami, I think also in Sirul Aulia and Fawaidul Fuad, it is said that one of the rulers of the Sultanate period sent 30,000 gold coins to him. And he refused to accept. And he said, our predecessors have not taken any such thing. I will not do that. He again sent the Harkara and he said, if you do not take, you will be beheaded. He took it and he told them, keep it outside the door of my khanqa. It was kept there. He asked his Khalifa and disciple to distribute each coin by Maghrib, by evening. Everything was done. And he asked his people, have you finished it? Yes, they said yes. He always used to perform the namaz by Jamaat. He used to lead. He led. He said Allahu Akbar and then he started weeping. He was not able to do that. He said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. People were shocked. He did thrice. One of the senior Khalifas with great courage went too close to him and he said, sir, I have been performing namaz behind you for the last 40 years. I have not seen you doing this. Why are you doing this? What is wrong? He said, go and see. There is some coin still there in the khanqa, which is disturbing me, not allowing me to perform my namaz perfectly. They said, we have searched it. Nothing is there. He took the khandil and went around. There was still a coin there. He took that coin by his hand and threw it outside. Came and performed his namaz and went on weeping for 3 days and 3 nights. And he said, I have touched a coin which was not a halal coin. It was a haram coin. अब ये तो ऐसा है, जा रहे हैं दावतों में बिरयानी खा के आ जा रहे हैं, कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, किधर से आ रहे हैं, पैसे मच्छी खा ले रहे हैं, जो जिमा खा ले रहे हैं, हलाल की है, हराम की है, कुछ नहीं मालूम. एक दावत 2-2 लाख की हो रही है. मैं वाइस चांसलर बन के रिटायर हो गया, मैं अब तक 1 लाख रुपए पूरे कभी एक साथ नहीं देखा. मैं जब वाइस चांसलर बन के रिटायर हुआ तो मेरी सबसे बड़ी तनख्वाह 48,000 थी. अब तो 2-2 लाख 2.5 लाख मिल रहे हैं. ना पढ़ाना है ना लिखाना. There is no problem. 12 तारीख के बाद हमारे पास तनख्वाह खत्म हो जाती थी. जब हम पहले वक्त घर बनाए थे 2 लाख में घर बना लिए थे, जिसके अंदर 70 हज़ार के 2 लोन शामिल हैं. मोटरसाइकिल 15 तारीख के बाद जाते थे तो पेट्रोल खत्म हो जाता था, तो पैदल जाते थे हाथ में. वो सब गुजर गया. वी हैव बिकम टोटली मंडेन. वी हैव ओनली डाइंग फॉर मनी. देयर इज नथिंग लेफ्ट. Everything spiritual is disappearing. Everything mundane and tamasha is grabbing our lives. Values have disappeared. Mundane life has taken over. By hook or crook, what we need is money. by hook or crook, we do not need the knowledge. The knowledge is the key. You are the people who can transform, transit, mold the people. A teacher is a one who can mold the 30 lives, 30 years in service. 30 badges will come. All of them will be looking at you. You are the people who have to bring about a big change in the society, in the culture. One first thing, the poor is becoming poorer. The rich is becoming richer. And if I remember, Jalaluddin Rumi has said, I will close my lecture by that, चीज दुनिया खुदा गाफिल बदन नए खुमारो नखरो फर्जंद दन. जो चीज आपको अल्लाह मियां से दूर ले जाने वाली है वो आपके बच्चे हैं, औलाद है, सोना चांदी है, रुपया पैसा है. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
I was always appreciative of the fact that how can historians remember so many names, places, periods, years. And today, that thought of mine is at its highest level. And when I was studying in Anjuman Islam High School, Bombay, so there, the history classes used to be very boring. With my sincere apologies to all the teachers, history teachers who are sitting here. But today, and we wanted that the classes should end as fast as possible. But I wish Professor Sulman Siddiqui had continued for some more time. But I'm sure, because of the time constraint, he had to conclude. And, this lecture on history actually, proved to be historic for all of us. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your lecture. And I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Mir Firasat Ali Khusro Saab, who is among us. And as I said in the beginning, that he has contributed his father's collection to the library. And now, I'm a great admirer. Thank you. I'm a great admirer of Professor Deepak Kumar, whom I started interacting recently. And we had, academic discussions. And at times, we agreed to disagree, at least on library-related issues. Like, for example, he was saying that history of environment should go to history subject. I was saying, no, it should go to the environment. So there, maybe, because he was thinking from a teacher's perspective and I was thinking from a librarian's perspective. But, he didn't mind. He took that discussion very positive. And I always feel that Professor Deepak Kumar is a guru in the real sense of this word. So, may I request you, sir, to please, if you can just, I think if you can talk about library, that would be the best thing.
Shukriya. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Hassan Sahab, Professor Siddiqui Sahab, Ishtiyaq Ahmed Bhai, Naqvi Sahab, Madam, my friends, it's a great opportunity, not for me to speak, great opportunity to listen to a master's voice, genuine master. And अब मेरे लिए बड़ी मुश्किल है कि प्रोफेसर सिद्दीकी के बाद मैं क्या कुछ कह सकता हूँ. ये जो है सो बड़ा जिस ऊंचाई तक ले गए हम सबों को, जो मज़ा आया, तो हम शुक्रगुजार हैं सर. आपके तालिब हैं और हम ये चाहेंगे कि हमारे यंगर जनरेशन जो है इस परंपरा को आगे बढ़ाए, ट्रेडिशन को सीखे. लाइब्रेरी की बात हुई, हम शुक्रगुजार हैं कि आपने इतना बड़ा कलेक्शन दिया हमारी लाइब्रेरी को. और एक हिस्ट्री के स्टूडेंट होने के नाते ये बहुत ही फ़ख्र की बात है, खुशी की बात है कि कि हमारे यहाँ जो परंपरा रही है डोनेशन की, जो परंपरा रही है जिसको मैं कहिए आप सदाकती परंपरा रही है, जिसमें हम देते रहे हैं बराबर, उसको आपने कायम रखा और कोशिश कर रहे हैं कायम रखने की। मुझे ध्यान है एक हमारे सीनियर टीचर थे जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी में, वो प्रोफेसर SD चैटर्जी, किताबें दी, अलमीरा दिया, अपना मकान तक दे दिया। ये रहा है हमारे यहाँ जो। तो हालांकि आजकल लाइब्रेरी साइंस अपने आप में साइंस है, जैसा आपने जिक्र किया। मैं चाहूँगा एज ए हिस्टोरियन, मेरा बायस है कि हिस्ट्री के शेल्फ पे हो, लेकिन यू आर द बेस्ट जज, मैं आपके इसमें दखल नहीं दूंगा। और जो दिया जाता है, मुझे तो ये इल्म नहीं था कि मुझे कहने को कुछ कहा जाएगा, लेफ्ट हैंड शुड नॉट नो व्हाट द राइट हैंड गिवन। ये लेन देन का मामला नहीं है, और लोग तो जिंदगी दे देते हैं, ये सारी तो बहुत छोटी मोटी चीजें। तो और मुझे बहुत सारे लाइब्रेरी में जाने का मौका मिला, सैकड़ों, तमाम दुनिया घूमा, बहुत जगह गया। हर जगह इतना पढ़ने की तो कुवत थी नहीं कि हम समझ सकें। बहुत से बहुत हमने ये किया कि लाइब्रेरी के शेल्फ पे हाथ रखा, छुआ, किताबों को छूइए, आपकी उंगलियों में ताकत आएगी। पढ़ना समझना सबके बस की बात नहीं, बड़ी मुश्किल का काम है, लेकिन कम से कम छू लीजिए। आजकल प्रोफेसर सिद्दीकी ने कहा जमाना इतना बदल गया है, पोस्ट मॉडर्न आ गया है। पहले हम लोग पोस्ट मॉडर्न से समझते थे गांधीयन, अब पोस्ट मॉडर्न में तो चैट GPT आ गया, वो तो चाट जाएगा। उससे कैसे बचा जाए? टेक्नोलॉजी जरूरी है, मैं इसकी मुखालफत नहीं करता। हिस्ट्री ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी पे मैंने थोड़ा बहुत काम भी किया, हिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस से, जरूरी है। लोग चांद पे जा रहे हैं, चांद पे जाइए जरूर, मैं मना नहीं करता है, लेकिन जो नेक्स्ट डोर नेबर में मुफलिसी है उसको भी तो देखिए, उसको भी देखिए। कितना बुरा हाल है हमारे ही मुल्क में, मेरे नेक्स्ट डोर नेबर, मेरे मोहल्ले में, मेरे रिश्तेदारों में, वहां भी देखना चाहिए। तो टेक्नोलॉजी जो है वो ऐसा जिन है जो बॉटल से बाहर आ गया, अब उसको वापस कैसे करें? हमें लेकिन इतना भर कोशिश करना चाहिए कि जहां जो स्रोत है वो साफ रहे। अगर गंगा गंगोत्री में ही खराब हो जाए, मैली हो जाए, तो आपको कानपुर, इलाहाबाद, संगम में क्या मिलेगा? आज वही होने वाला है, ग्लेशियर खत्म हो रहे हैं। तो इस वजह से ये गंगा जमुनी तहजीब जो है, कहते हैं बात, लेकिन उसमें मैल बहुत भर गया, इतना भर गया है। अभी मैं हाल में इलाहाबाद गया था, बनारस भी आते जाता रहता हूँ, आप उम्मीद है कि मेरे भाई मुझे माफ करेंगे। गंदगी से तबाही होती है, दिल के अंदर, दिल के बाहर, मोहल्ले में, कहीं भी जाते हैं तो परेशानी हो रही है। ये तो इल्म नहीं हुआ। आपने सही कहा सर कि कंपोजिट कल्चर, आखिर क्या शब्द इस्तेमाल करें, गंगा जमुनी यहाँ नहीं हो सकता, लेकिन कृष्णा गोदावरी तो हो सकता है, क्यों नहीं? कृष्णा गोदावरी है, बहुत खूबसूरत है। परमात्मा करे कि इसकी तरक्की हो और साफ रहे, लोगों को अच्छा पानी मिले। दक्कन आने का मौका मुझे बाद में मिला, रिसर्च के दौरान मैं आया करता था, बहुत घूमा, नीलकंठ शास्त्री की किताब भी पढ़ी, दक्कन के ऊपर थोड़ा बहुत और पढ़ने का मौका मिला। लेकिन यहाँ रह करके पिछले 4 साल से मैं निजामत में हूँ, तो रह करके लगा कि नहीं, हाँ तहजीब है अच्छी, और जो है सो इसको हमको बनाए रखना है और तरक्की हो। नॉर्थ की अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स है, मैं खुद बिहार से हूँ, मैं जानता हूँ। बिहारी होना जो है एक ये है ना, वो आप किसी पे भी ताक सर्च कर सकते हैं। यूपी वालों की पूछिए मत। तो परमात्मा उनका भला करे, सद्बुद्धि दे, ते आगे जो है आने वाले वक्त में बेहतर हूं। और ये सब अपना है, मैं किसी को दोष नहीं देता। जो भी गलत हो रहा है, वी आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इट, इंक्लूडिंग सिद्दीकी साहब। और जो अच्छा हो रहा है उसके लिए हम उसकी तारीफ करते हैं, खुश भी है। तो सब कुछ वी नीड टू ओन इट अप, इट्स आवर्स। जमीन हमारा है, आसमां हमारा है, और हम ये क्या छोड़ के जा रहे हैं वो आप जाने, क्या बनाएंगे आप जाने। हम खुश हैं कि हमने अपने वक्त में बहुत कुछ करके कोशिश की, जो था किया, अभी भी करते रहेंगे। लेकिन आने वाले वक्त में जो है सो आप जाने, और उसमें ये बाबे इल्म आपका मदद करेगा। ये जो हमारी लाइब्रेरी है, इबादत खाना है, वो मदद करेगा। आप 5 घंटे रोज जरूर लगाया करें किताबों, छुइए उनको, दिल करे तो पढ़िएगा। मैं जबरदस्ती नहीं कर रहा हूं कि आप मेरी किताब को पढ़िए। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं किसी, लेकिन छूने की कोशिश कीजिए। सितारा छूना आसान हो जाएगा, लेकिन ये जो है, ये इसमें ज्यादा मजा होगा आपको। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपको, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
I never knew that there is a philosopher in a historian. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And there's one person in every university के सारा जो दुखड़ा जो रोया जाता है उसी से रोया जाता है, और वो होते हैं रजिस्ट्रार। हर आदमी वीसी साहब के पास जा नहीं पाते, मैं भी उनमें से एक हूँ। और मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा इश्तियाक साहब से कि वो हमें आके एड्रेस करें। थैंक यू।
बेहद शुक्रिया ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर साहब, आवर गेस्ट स्पीकर प्रोफेसर सुलेमान सिद्दीकी साहब, मिस्टर अली नकवी साहब, मैडम सरस्वती साहबा, एंड मीर फरासत अली खुसरो साहब, and our learned teacher Professor Deepak Kumar Sahib. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a great occasion today that university is organizing the first Professor Sadiq Naqvi Memorial Lecture today. And I'm very happy that the family members of Professor Sadiq Naqvi, they have joined us. It's a new beginning. All book lovers are here. Identifying, the scholars, approaching and interacting with their family members, getting their books donated to our library and other centers at MANUU. It's a wonderful mission our Honorable Vice Chancellor has undertaken. We must appreciate it. It's very noble, and it's a very rare thing that Honorable Vice Chancellor is doing with the help of our librarian to enrich our sources. Indeed, Professor Sadiq Naqvi, he has inspired several generations. His core area of interest was the history of Qutub Shahi period. Persian sources are well reflected in his works. Interestingly, scholars of today's generation or later generation have made best use of his works. Many books written in Urdu language, especially dealing with Persian language and literature and culture, are full of references from Professor Sadiq Naqvi's book. It's wonderful that the Honorable Vice Chancellor has identified a very learned scholar, Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Sahib, who is not only a scholar, not only a contemporary, but a very close friend who has worked with Professor Sadiq Naqvi Sahib. It was really very illuminating, very encouraging to listen you, sir. Very beautifully, you have outlined the history of several dynasties, ruled over various parts of the Deccan by establishing important centers. Undoubtedly, they worked to promote the composite culture, wherein the role of Sufia Ikram had been very remarkable. Similarly, the contribution of people belonging to other faiths are equally important. Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Sahib has rightly pointed out. It was a very, very impressive lecture, and it was a first lecture. Inshallah, we will have the second lecture on related topics, and this process will continue. We are thankful to all our teachers. Students could not join because examination are likely to be concluded, as well as admission process is also on. So some teachers are engaged, but at least many of you, despite rain outside, have made you. We are thankful to you. And last but not the least, we are very, very thankful to our smart librarian, Dr. Akhtar Parvez Sahib, for making this event successful. Thank you very much.
Right. So thank you, Registrar Sahab. And Dr. Jai Kishan, who is a member of the board of Salar Jung Museum, would like to say a few words. May I request him, sir, to please...
Respected Vice Chancellor, dignitaries on the dais, Suleiman Siddiqui Sahib. I'm also contemporary and studied under him, Deepak Kumar Sahib, Naqvi's son Ali, and Saraswati, she was my junior, and dignitaries of the dais, respected teachers, elders, and beloved students. My relation with Naqvi is he was my guide. Actually, he was my teacher in PG for final year when I chosen this Deccan history. He was teaching Deccan history. After that, I did my PhD under him. MPhil, Salaj Museum Director Nigam, he suggested me on arms, Qutb Shahi arms. So Naqvi Sahib helped in that also. And again, I chose a topic on warcraft, arms, and armor in medieval Deccan from 1500 to 1700. He suggested me how to do the work. Seriously, he suggested not to cut paste. Don't do that. So seriously, I did my work for more than 6-7 years. After that, I submitted every chapter to him. He corrected and given to me. He was not just like a guide or teacher. He was like a friend, philosopher. He led me into the research life. First, I asked him to write a few articles on Muharram celebrations. I wrote 2 articles, particularly Muharram celebrations in pilgrimage centers in northern Telangana. That's Dharmapuri and Vimlavada, published, and Andugla and some other villages. And I wrote an article on saltpeter industry that was published in 1000 Urals, a memorable volumes, comparative volumes taken up. In that also my article was published. He encouraged me to go for continuous research. So far, because of his inspiration, his guidance, his remembrance always lead me into the hard-working nature. Almost all, I published more than 180 papers, 5-6 books, particularly my book on archaeometallurgy, industrial archaeology. In both of subjects, I am working. Industrial archaeology is a forgotten subject. Archaeometallurgy also is a forgotten subject. I took these two subjects, and volumes are coming up now. And I did a lot of work on canons of Deccan forts. I did a lot of work on Deccan also because of his inspiration. Every Ramazan or every Bakrid celebrated in his house. He used to invite us for lunch. At least 10 to 15 times we had lunch in his house. He never used to comment or discouraging. Just you write this sentence like this. He went to several countries. He presented papers. On that also he used to speak elaborately. His experiences, particularly in Korkonda School and Public School Hyderabad, not coming to the Usmania University, used to discuss elaborately everything with us. Really, I owe a lot to him because of his able guidance. Under his guidance, I could do something, I could contribute to the subject. This is a very proudful thing for me. I am thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my feelings about Professor Naqvi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for the presidential address. And before I invite Honorable Vice Chancellor to deliver the address, I would like to just say one sentence that which actually affects all of us, all the employees of the university. That after he joined, the level of bureaucracy has really come down. So thank you, sir. So over to you.
जनाब सुलेमान सिद्दीकी साहब, सरस्वती जी, अली, प्रोफेसर दीपक कुमार, इश्तियाक, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult to say that now we are remembering Professor Sadiq Naqvi, who died in 2017, June 2017. And my last meeting, when I visited his graveyard, along with his family members, very shocking. It was really very shocking news. Because in Chicago also, we used to sit together for hours, chatting and discussing about, and he was very sentimental about Hyderabad and the Deccan culture. In fact, he was representative of, this culture. But my acquaintance with Professor Sadiq way back, in 84, when he invited me to participate in a poetic gathering at Golconda Fort. And then I spent 4 or 5 days with Professor Sadiq. They were so close. Next time when he invited, it was somehow, I could not attend. I regret it. But later on, his visits to Delhi and my visits to Hyderabad, and then we were so close. And then all the time, whenever I used to come to Hyderabad, he would give me one piece of literature. In fact, you read it, I have written something. This was remarkable. And he was a poet also, a genius poet. Well, today we remember him, and I'm really thankful to his sons. When we say, Beta wahi, qadam ba qadam ho jo baap ke. So in the true spirit, Right? Riaz Ali, who is in Chicago, and Ali Naqvi is here. So both of them are willing to do something for his father. I mean, we are also willing, and therefore we have organized this gathering. That gold medal and everything has been talked about, Now, coming to the crux of the matter, where, it was really a delightful lecture by Professor Sulaiman Siddiqui. And I not only enjoyed, but learned so many things from him. When he says Ganga Jamni, I mean, somehow, 2 days back, there was a seminar here in our university on Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, somehow. And Hyderabad, you see. What Hyderabad has to do with Ganga Jamni, you see. It was really very disturbing for me also. Now you clarified everything. What I say, but yes, to say that, here, difference between the southern culture and then the northern culture, somehow, you see, it is very difficult unless you just, pinpoint things. Then only you can make out, you see, the difference. But otherwise, I don't consider any difference between, south and north. But yes, this is one thing is absolutely right, that, the kind of aggression we have seen, in fact, towards north. And this is also true, that all great poets, early poets, was sons of army officers. Urdu in itself, camp, language of camp. You see, that's how. First name was Rekhta, which was well said by Ghalib Rekhti ke tumhi ustad nahi ho Ghalib. Sunte hain agle zamane mein koi mir bhi tha. But whether Ghalib, and before Ghalib, Bedil was also son of an army officer, and then Mir was also son of an army officer. And Ghalib, and Amir Khusro, you talked about Amir Khusro, Turke Hindustaniyam, Gar Hindavi Guyam Sakhan, Turke Hindustan, in an Indian Turk. So he was Turks, They were. But look at, when we talk about Wali Dakkani, even Mir admires Wali Dakkani. When Mir says, कि खुगर नहीं कुछ यूं ही हम रेख्ता गोई के माशूक जो था अपना बाशिंदा दक्कन का था. इसी माशूक जो था अपना, they used to love Wali Dakkani and Quli Qutub Shah, their poetry, the way they express their romanticism, see, all together, and ghazal composers, you see, that delightful expressions, you will never find elsewhere, you see. But that, you see, Deccan has taken a lead. I do believe, but yes, Sirane Mir ke ahista bolo, abhi tuk rote rote so gaya, soye nahi hai, hum bhi jaag rahe hain. So this is, I fully agree. Even Bayhaqi and Al-Biruni both have written in their books that the officers and soldiers in the army of Mahmud had their own Indian interpreters. Might be some people, you see, from this region also. You can't rule out the possibility. In fact, there must have been interpreters, just going towards north, you see, and serving in the army of Mahmud. I mean, this is a subject which can be discussed, later. But nonetheless, I believe that Usman Ali, the way he worked, and in Banaras Hindu University, there was a colony, a special colony of Usman Ali colony in Banaras Hindu University. But that, because of Usman Ali, you see, somehow, you see, due to certain apprehensions that, they changed the name, and now it is Hyderabad colony. Large number of teachers residing there. Hyderabad, the biggest colony within the vicinity of Banaras Hindu University is Hyderabad colony. And I believe that there was the generosity, in the name of rulers of Deccan, the kind of they serve the entire collegium of institutes and people, and then the scholars, whether sitting in a mosque or in a khanqa or in a temple, you see. They were all doing good for the entire, community of at larger scale community of human beings. Now, this is example, and when one can cite these examples again and again, you see, why should we hide these things? But yes, when we discuss, their contributions, I must recognize those who contributed to our library, to our university. And you were talking about H.K. Sherwani Center. Professor Salma Ahmad Farooqi is sitting here, in fact. And we can, university can, extend all possibilities, to have that archival things, which you talked about. You see, we can bring them here anytime. And another thing is that here, as you talked about Amir Khusro, you see, he's sitting here, you see, in our midst. There is another Khusro here, Farasat Ali, whose father was, a great man, in fact, serving in the in Telangana government. I mean, at that time, Andhra government, but he was great lover of literature. In fact, he collected around 16,000 books on various topics, in fact, and that is brought to our universities. It has already arrived here, in fact, and we are deciphering, you see, which book should go where. And here is a man, you see, could you please stand up and show your face to this special gathering? Here is a man, in fact. And we promise that, and on behalf of our librarian also, an entire, MANUU fraternity, I promise that these books, we will keep them alive as long as MANUU is there. So therefore, you see, we are thankful to you for donating your father's collections. And now we are thinking in terms of, highlighting, you see, name of your father. In fact, somewhere we will put it so that it is, your father is also remembered. And I'm grateful to Ali Brothers, for establishing gold medal here. And we are starting from next semester onwards, in fact. You see, when the result will be announced, you see, coming convocation. Okay, maybe at the time of convocation or even before that, we can do it, in fact. But thank you very much. All of you came here and participated in such a beautiful gathering, listening to a very versatile and valuable lecture by Professor Sulaiman Siddiqui Sahab. And I'm thankful to Saraswati ji for coming here. And really, such people should be remembered again and again. You see, we should not forget their contributions. And 1,000 laurels is still due. In fact, what Professor Sadiq Naqvi wrote, collected, in fact, articles. It's a valuable article. And I remember when I showed, 2 volumes, then Professor Salma Ahmad Farooqi was telling me, no, I must have a copy. So then she collected it. She preserved it in her personal collections, in fact. So now university is enriching by certain contributions. Professor Deepak Kumar is one here. He joined as a professor, but now recently his book is published from Cambridge University Press. And very clearly it is mentioned that honorary professor of Maulana Azad Nashru of the university. Now this is one more feather in the cap of this university, and I believe with his presence, university will definitely enrich, and our students will benefit from his presence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now it's time for honoring our distinguished guests. So I request my colleague Hajra to please help me in that. And first of all, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sahab to please present a memento to our chief guest, Professor Suleiman Siddiqui Sahab. सारे खोल दो Yes, sir. Now I request again Honorable Vice Chancellor Saab to please present memento to our guest of honor, Janab Ali Naqvi Saab. And since Visa wanted to open it, so we are opening all the mementos so that everybody is able to see it. I request Registrar Sahab to please present a memento to Saraswati Madam. So I once again request Registrar Sahab to please present a memento to Mr. Mir Farasat Ali Khusro Sahab. Okay. I once again request Registrar Sahab to please present a memento to Professor Deepak Kumar Sahab. Though VC Saab and Registrar Saab are from our own family, but because of the fact that this is the first program of the library, so I would like to present a memento to both of them. I request them to please allow me to present them a memento. Saraswati Madam would like to, present something to our VC Saab and the former VC Saab, Janab Suleiman Siddiqui Saab. So she will be doing that, and that after that, I request Faisal Mustafa Saab to please extend a vote of thanks. So there's a book which is presenting how to find peace in a noisy world. And I think it is the most relevant book for today's time.
This is my master. I'm working with this foundation. The best-selling book in New York is being published. This is
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's been wonderful being here.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so
most
much.
memorable events that
I'm the runner. You're in class.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। लेक्चर के रस्मी इख्तिताम से पहले ज़रूरी मालूम होता है कि हम उन तमाम अरकान का शुक्रिया अदा करें कि जिन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम को अमली जामा पहनाने में अपना अपना खुसूसी किरदार अदा किया है। इस ज़िम्न में सबसे पहले हम दिल की अमीर गहराइयों से शुक्रगुजार हैं प्रोफेसर सुलेमान सिद्दीकी के कि जिन्होंने अपने पुरमग़ज़ मक़ाले में के ज़रिए दक्कन में सूफ़ी रिवायात से हमें रोशनास कराया। इसके अलावा हम अपने मेहमानान ख़ुसूसी तौर से प्रोफेसर दीपक कुमार साहब, अली नक़वी साहब, जनाब फ़िरासत अली खुसरो साहब और मोहतरमा सरस्वती साहबा का भी शुक्रगुजार हैं कि जिन्होंने अपने कीमती वक्त से कुछ वक्त हमें दिया है। हम शेखुल जामिया प्रोफेसर सैयद ऐनुल हसन साहब और मुसज्जिले जामिया प्रोफेसर इसके इश्तियाक अहमद साहब के भी शुक्रगुजार हैं कि जिन्होंने इस सेमिनार में शिरकत करके इस सेमिनार को रौनक बढ़ाई। आखिर में हम IMC, CIT और मानू के स्टेट सेक्शन के तमाम ओहदेदारान के भी ममनून हैं कि जिनके बगैर इस सेमिनार को मुकम्मल करना मुश्किल था। इस प्रोग्राम के इख्तिताम से पहले मैं स्टेट सेक्शन के ज़रिए को एक गुजारिश करना चाहूँगा कि अब कौमी तराना पेश किया जाएगा और उसके बाद तमाम लोगों के लिए चाय का बाहर इंतज़ाम है। शुक्रिया।